Hey YouTube, it's T-Bay. I'm finally doing this requested video that basically I've been getting requests for the past several months, basically on lock advice. I haven't done this video before because I didn't feel like I was knowledgeable enough to starting out my own journey. But now that I'm over a year, I feel like I can really give better advice on, to newbies and people who are considering locks now that I've already gotten past my first year. Where to start? um, Basically, when you first consider getting locks, I suggest you do research. Do research on all the different methods of locking, the different partings you can get, or just the different methods like interlocking, back combing, comb coils, anything of that nature, just so you can see what different techniques or methods you can use to start out locks. Most likely, if you're looking at my channel, you're interested in manicured locks like mine, which is not free forming or organic locks that just grow naturally without much maintenance. Locks do require maintenance. It can be tedious at first, but it gets easier over time. Once you decide what type of locks you want, either find someone who can do them or do them yourself. It's really your choice on whether you want to start them yourself or get them done professionally. Depends on what part of the country you live in, depending on what type of, what you have available in your area. If you live in New York, you have plenty of people to choose from to get your locks done. But if you live in a place like Missouri or Alabama, or a place where people aren't really educated on natural hair to do locks, you may consider doing it yourself. Basically, you should just focus on your partings and how you want your locks to come out. Most people like locks on the thinner side, but you should really try to get them at least the size of a pencil as a standard, maybe a little bit smaller, but not too much smaller, only because in the long term, talking years from now, thinner the locks are, the more problematic they can be as far as maintenance and as far as losing locks over time due to thinning and breakage. When I first wanted locks, I wanted really small locks, not as small as sister locks, but maybe a tad bit bigger than them. But after doing my research and speaking with my loctician, I decided that I wanted thinner locks that would last me a lifetime. Those are his words. So I ended up picking, well, not even picking, but he ended up picking the size locks that I have now, which are thicker than most people, but to me it is suitable for me because I know 5 years from now I'm going to have all 105 locks that I have on my head now, because the parting that I have are a nice full size, and the likeliness of my hair thinning out and breaking at the edges is very minimal. So you should think about that before getting your locks, about how thin it, and how locks do thin out over time naturally, and how you will have to worry about that later. Once you decide what type of locks you want, do it. Don't wait, just do it, because the longer you wait and contemplate, that's time that's passing. So if you want them, get them. Don't wait 4 years like I did before actually locking your hair and then realizing that, oh, I could have did this a while ago. As this is for women, I don't know how men are, but if you're used to wearing weaves and braids and perms, it can be very difficult to get used to yourself without all that. So I know why people wait, because that's why I waited, is because you don't want to go through the ugly stage. But that stage does pass rather quickly, and you'll end up with beautiful locks in no time. Once you get your first set in, you should wash them. You should wash your hair basically as often as you did before locking your hair. So if you washed your hair every week before locking, you should continue to wash them on that basis. If you wash your hair every 2 weeks, you continue to wash your hair on that basis. There's no reason not to wash your hair. You can wash it as soon as you start locking. Me personally, when I first started my locks, I went to a professional, so I didn't wash my hair but once a month for the first 5 to 6 months. But after I started maintaining it myself, I started washing it every other week or every 2 weeks or so, because I really did not like waiting that whole month. By 3 weeks in, I was going crazy, but because I was on my loctician's schedule, not mine, I had to go with what he recommended me. But when I did my daughter's locks, I wash her hair every week. So it really is your hair, and depending on your hair and your hair's needs, you can wash your hair as much as you want. I feel washing your hair often helps your hair lock up quicker. It keeps your hair clean, free of lint and debris. It is definitely something that you should do. Don't listen to people who tell you your hair has to be dirty, because that's not true. You can definitely wash your hair, and it's important that you do know that, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there that you should not wash your hair. You definitely should wash your hair. Wash your hair on the same schedule that you always have washed your hair on before you start locks. As far as products, everyone's hair is different. So something that works on my hair may not work on your hair, because we have two different textures of hair. Your hair can be finer, curlier, coarser, what have you. So the products I use may not work for you. So I don't really recommend products to people. I can just tell you what I like and what I recommend for myself. But the only thing I can say is that you should use a water-based product. Nothing with beeswax in it. Nothing with petroleum in it. Nothing that can cause your hair to build up and attract lint. Beeswax does attract lint. Petroleum attracts lint. So I would try to stay away from things that have those products in them. Yeah. If you want your hair to be healthy, just don't use those. You should shampoo and condition your hair. People say not to when you're first starting locks. I don't know why. People who have kinky hair, like coarse like mine, can use conditioner, because locks do not just slide out of your head. It's not something that's going to happen. If you have coarse hair, you washing and shampooing your hair is not going, and conditioning your hair is not going to change that. Your hair, your locks will still be there. Especially if you're more than like 3 months in and you have coarse hair. I'm talking kinky, not like wavy hair. You can condition it, and it does leave your hair soft, because you don't want your hair hard. You want it to still be soft and touchable and healthy, because locks is just hair that's matted together, but it's still hair, so you should still condition it if you want your hair to be soft. So whether it's conditioning with conditioner or hot oil treatment, some type of conditioning should be done. As far as moisturizing and oiling your scalp, that's all your preference. I do moisturize my locks, but very seldomly. Normally I do put the moisture and the oil in right after I wash it, and I really don't put too much more oil in it until my next wash. I may put a little bit on my hands and go like this, just to add a little sheen to it, but my hair doesn't really need that much. Whatever I put in it when I first do it, when I first retwist it, pretty much lasts me the whole 2 weeks. Now if you go longer than 2 weeks in washing your hair, it may not last. You may want to apply a bit of oil to keep your hair soft and supple. But as far as oiling my scalp, I really don't do that. I really don't, but I don't have a need for it. I don't have dry hair. But your hair naturally has, your scalp naturally secretes oils over time. Although, kinky hair doesn't really have as much oil as, say, a Caucasian person, but your hair still does have natural oils in it. So that's really up to you. There's no miracle grow out there that you can put on your scalp that makes your hair grow faster. Your hair grows at the rate it grows. Doesn't matter if you have locks or not. Hair does not grow faster because of locks. It still grows at the same rate. It's just that the hair that normally sheds doesn't shed. It stays in the lock, which makes your hair appear to grow longer. But it's still, appear to grow faster, but it's still growing at the same length. And it's never going to grow faster unless you change your diet or eating habits, maybe add some vitamins to your diet. That may help, because your body's getting extra nutrition that it didn't have before. But there's really nothing out there that can make your hair grow, so really don't believe all these miracle products out there can actually make your hair grow. Okay, this is part 2. Ran out of memory. I guess I'm talking too much. Um, but I was talking about moisturizing and hair growth. So all these products out there, Miracle Grow, Do Grow, Indian Hemp, Miracle Grow and Shine, all these products don't do anything for your hair. I shouldn't say don't do anything. They don't promote growth, basically. Your hair grows on its own. The only thing that those things can do is keep your scalp oiled so it's not dry and add some sheen to your hair. Locks don't shine. So, moisture is to just, moisturizers, like what I consider moisturizer, like some type of natural oil like coconut oil or olive oil or maybe some type of essential oil, are to soften and give some sheen to your hair. When you put a moisturizer in your hair, you should put it inside of a spray bottle and mix it with a small amount of water and spray it onto your hair that way. The water is necessary because you need the water so that the oil can penetrate deep into the lock. Just the oil alone will not be able to penetrate into the lock. It'll just coat, if you just put oil in your hair and put it on your hair, it's not going to penetrate. It's just going to coat the outside of your hair. It's not going to actually be beneficial to your hair because it's just laying on top. One of my pet peeves to see somebody on YouTube like, yeah, I use this oil sheen and just spray it on their hair. It's not penetrating when they do. That's not penetrating at all. Basically, it's just laying on top of your hair. Yeah, your hair might look a bit shiny, but all it's doing is caking up your hair, making your hair weighed down and look greasy. It's not doing anything to benefit your hair. Your hair just looks very greasy and weighed down. Your hair should look light. It should not have that greasy caked looking thing, feeling like just matted down, just flat to your head. That's not how locks are supposed to look. Well, manicured locks are supposed to look. They're really very light. They're supposed to move when you move. When your hair, if you move your head, your locks should move. If you put your head down, they should fall on your face. You should, they should move around. You should be able to move them. They have movement. They have movement. Doesn't matter if they're short, long, even if they're like this long, and they're not weighed down with product, they should still shake. Your hair should always have shake to it. It should be, you should be able to move and talk, and your hair should move. It should not be caked down to your face or to your head, and that's just unhealthy. That means your hair is covered in product, and again, product leads to buildup. Buildup leads to lint and dirt and dust in your hair, and your hair is not going to look healthy. So avoid just use oil sparingly, or use it mixed with water so that it can actually penetrate into your scalp. Avoid, just using globs or vials of oil sheen, just spraying your hair while it's dry, because it's just going to lay on your hair. That's my personal opinion. I don't really feel like oil alone can moisturize your hair. You do need water with it. As far as maintenance, I only can give you advice on palm rolling or finger rolling, because those are the only things that I know how to do. I don't know how to interlock or use latching or sister lock. Any of that stuff I don't know about. Shaggy Loc 7, he's the best as far as interlocking, so you can check out his page for that. But when I do palm roll my hair, I do the whole lock. There's debate on this. Many people think that if you palm roll the whole lock, that your hair is eventually going to thin out and break off. I don't agree with that. I believe as long as your hair is damp when you're twisting, you shouldn't have a problem. I don't have a problem. My locks are still very thick and healthy, and that's what I do. I think when you don't do it, your locks are very frizzy. They don't have a cylindrical, like round shape to them, and if you really want that manicured, neat look, you should definitely palm roll the whole lock. Any loose hairs, extra hairs that are not interlocked, especially during the frizzy stage, when the budding stage, you should definitely palm roll the whole thing to get all those excess hairs into the lock. I think people confuse thinning out with becoming compact. When you palm roll, the hair is becoming compact and tighter. more ingrained into the lock, so it has a much tighter, coarser lock. I shouldn't say coarser, but compact, denser lock. So now your lock is stronger because it's more compact. It's it's better for your locks to be compact because they're stronger. So palm rolling the whole lock is the best method. And when you palm roll it, what I do is I twist the root. And then once I get about an inch from the root, I palm roll all the way to the end. And when I get to the end, I should have had a clip here. I clip it. No, I'm going to get one. Hold on. Okay, I have a clip. Okay. So when you take the lock, you twist from the root. When you get about an inch away from the root, then you palm roll, down the whole length of the lock, and then secure it to a lock next to it. And you should always pin it at the bottom, because if you twist at the root, palm roll the whole lock, and then, so I'm going to do this, so it's that clip at the top, all that work you just did down here just comes unraveled. So you just wasted your time by palm rolling this just to clip it up here. So you should always clip at the bottom. This way the whole lock stays twisted and all that hair stays in it until you blow dry it or air dry it, however you dry your locks. You can also finger roll it. This is what I did before I knew about palm rolling. You can just basically go like this all the way down the lock. But I feel like palm rolling is much more effective than doing that. Doing this without a mirror is hard. So you can do that and still clip it at the bottom. Now that would be better for shorter locks. Palm rolling is just so much more effective for longer locks, but that is a good way to do locks that are probably like 2 inches or shorter. Yeah, so that's really all the advice I can give my my newbies and people who are considering locks. There's one more thing that is like the most important out of all of these tips and advices that I'm giving you. You should have patience. Patience is like the biggest thing. You have to have patience. Locks it's a process in locking your hair. It definitely takes about a year to get to this point, more than a year actually, to get to this point of having mature locks. You have to go through all the stages, the budding stage, the baby locks, the budding stage, the frizzy stage, the condensing stage. There's so many different stages. Like me, when I started locks, I had about 6 or 7 inches of hair, so my hair was basically the length it is now, loose. When I went to my loctician with hair down to here, and when he was finished, my hair was up to here. I felt like crying. I was completely unhappy, not with his work, but just with how I looked to myself, knowing that I had so much hair, to lose that much hair. So when you lock, you're going to lose a lot of hair, and after the budding stage is the condensing stage, when your hair will get shorter. So for women especially who have been used to having shoulder length hair, or even just right here, to have your hair that short is a big change. So you do have to have patience and know that in the future your hair is going to grow back and look the way you want it to look. For me, locks is more than a hairstyle. It's a lifestyle. Like, I chose locks because I wanted people to see my true beauty, my true black beauty. I was tired of looking more like a European woman than a black woman. Although I wore braids, my hair was natural for a long time, but I always wore braids and weaves, always hair that was wavy, much softer, silkier texture than my natural hair was. And I was never really I was never really showing my true beauty of my culture, being a black woman. I was always hiding it, trying to look more exotic instead of looking the way I was born to look. cut off again. So basically, I never showed my true black beauty with the styles I was wearing. And having children, I felt the need to change my appearance to show them that black beauty, true black beauty is beautiful. So anyway, whatever your reason is for choosing locks, whether it's for fashion, it's for religious, spiritual, cultural reasons, whatever your choice is, that's good for you. And you have to make sure you have patience to get to that goal of having long locks. So once you choose it, just stick with it, and in the end, your hair will come out just the way you want it to. So patience is the key to having beautiful hair. So if I missed anything, I'm sorry. Just leave me a comment. I'll be glad to answer any question that you may have that I missed. And, I'll see you next time I do an update.